And once you understand the new AI, the generative AI, the large language models kind of AI, and so on, as a form of agency, then it became quite straightforward to come up with a unified framework that captured the whole story for the first time between hard and soft ethics. According to the rules, that's compliance, but soft ethics gives you a strategy to be better than your competitor. AI and digital technologies and services at large are a human creation, focusing on how to design according to a technology at the service of humanity and the environment. So design. But design is only half of the solution. The other keyword was the one that you mentioned, which is governance. Governance addresses the question, what is the right thing to do with the technology we have?
In this section, we will introduce and discuss the concept of the ethics of AI. Floridi-san, when we think about AI, there is often a gap between how AI has evolved in the past and what it truly represents today. On this slide, we distinguish between the past and present of AI. We see shift in how digital technologies have shaped our reality, the evolution of agency in AI systems, and the distinction between intelligent behavior and actual intelligence. Could you walk us through how AI has transformed over time, how it was perceived and functioned in the past, and how it differs in the present? Please.
With pleasure. So for a long time, from Alan Turing, roughly speaking, we're talking late 40s, 50s, until a few years ago, AI was considered to be a branch of mathematical logic, if you like, and it was seen as a form of computation that could solve problems instead of us, better than us, and for us. Now, this old-style artificial intelligence, this problem-solving sort of technology, was very close to machines that we have imagined before. It was an attempt to find ways of doing through machines what we humans will be able to do differently. Play chess was a classic. Now, that particular sort of form of AI didn't have the success we were hoping. He had very strong limits on what we could achieve by mathematical logic only, and it was replaced just a few years ago by statistical approaches, neural networks, the so-called attention management, more stochastic approaches, and in the end, something that is different from what we expected. The old AI was computationally strong as a form of problem heuristics and management. The AI we have today is a form of agency. It's not intelligent as we were expecting, but it can do without intelligence things that would require intelligence if we were to do it, and yet it can act, it can behave, it can do things that can improve the world, change the world, sort of automate, replace human beings. The difference is significant, and I'll stop with one more comment, because being a new form of agency, it needs a specific environment. This is something that I hope people who will enjoy this video will bring home as a message. The old AI was an attempt to find solutions that will work in the world. It was like building systems that then we would place in the world and hope would work, adapting them to the world. The new AI is also successful because it adapts the world to itself. It is a form of agency that works when the world is on live, as we saw before, when you're working in the infosphere, when the rest of the world is digital. With an analogy, it's a bit like saying that when you are in the sea, in the ocean, the real sort of native organisms are the fish, not us. Now, AI is like a fish in a digital sea. It works very well if it is inside the sea, inside the water. Take it out of water and it's a dead, not piece of junk. It's nothing. So imagine a driverless car without the network, the sensors, the digital maps, all the other cars that also are there exchanging communication. Now, without everything, the whole network and environment is like a fish out of water. It's dead. You wouldn't be able to use it. So today, and that's my last comment, the new AI is a form of agency that requires the environment to be adapted and adaptable to it. So if you look at a warehouse, you will see that every new warehouse where you find robots is a warehouse designed around the robots. We do not design robots that go into a warehouse for humans. We design warehouses environment for the robots. That happens in agriculture, happens all over the world, wherever we want AI to succeed. Now, with that in mind, next time you want to have some innovative transformation in a company, think in terms of which problems can be automated by these new agents, and fundamentally, how can I change the environment so that these new forms of agency are going to be successful? 1 and 2, which problems and how do I adapt the environment so that those problems can be approached by AI? Without a second step, we will see a lot of disasters but since we are online and speaking to people, I will not share private details, however, we have seen with many companies. Companies make mistakes, they waste a lot of money, they waste a lot of opportunities and resources because they don't understand that is 1 and 2. What problems can be automated by AI agents, and how do I fix the environment so these problems will be solved by agents that can be at home? In other words, am I putting all this in the right context? That is crucial. Without that, there is no innovation that can succeed.
Thank you. Following our discussion on the past and present of AI, we now look ahead to the future of AI and its evolving role in society. One of the key transformations in AI development is the shift from historical data to hybrid and synthetic data. If we can transform difficult skill-intensive jobs into structured, AI-friendly environments, then AI will provide far greater value to society. Froди-san, could you share your perspective on how AI will evolve in the coming years? What are the key trends and ethical considerations shaping the future of AI?
So the slide that we have here shows, first of all, the historical hybrid and synthetic distinction. Historical data are the ones we collect from the environment. The hybrid are the ones that we mix, but it's not important to focus on them. The really interesting one are the synthetic data, meaning data produced by machines. An airplane, for example, is really a computer with wings. A car today is a computer on 4 wheels. The amount of data that an airplane or even a house generates, that's what I call synthetic data. Data that have not been generated by humans, but have been generated by machines for machines. Now that is an enormous wealth of potential applications that we will increasingly exploit. Not to be confused, and I say this for the people more technically minded in this conversation, should not be confused with the possibility, which is not true, not there, of training AI on synthetic data. That is a mistake. It's not what we're talking about here. In other words, AI generating its own data and then training itself on its own data and in a sort of cycle. That doesn't work. What does work is having, for example, a thermostat collecting and producing synthetic data about the house, and then having AI train on those data to improve its performance. So that's the synthetic. The future of a lot of our own applications, AI, will be synthetic data as machine-generated data for other machines. Now, the shift from difficult to complex, well, this is also something that we are seeing increasingly important. Something difficult requires skills that AI doesn't have or will not develop. I have in that example tying one's shoes. As a child, you learn it, but it requires some dexterity with your fingers. So it's a different kind of body, and it's a complicated task. For a machine to do that, it's really very hard. However, there are many tasks that can be transformed from being complex to being just difficult. This shift means that something that we would do maybe in a fraction of time, say, for example, cutting the grass in the garden, is transformed into a complex task that takes a lot of time and energy and patience to a machine that can go up and down in a random order, in a random walk, until all the grass is gone. So we have transformed a difficult task, me cutting the grass with a machine, to a complex task that can be achieved by a machine. What's the advantage? Well, the advantage is that now I can delegate to the machine to do it. And even if the machine does it in a way that would be a little bit silly if I were to do the same thing, it is still its time, not my time, its energy, not mine, and I can do something else. So in, again, an industrial context, when you try to innovate using AI, the fundamental point in this case is integration. Innovation, integration. Integration means transforming difficult tasks that could be done by a human into complex tasks that can be done by a machine. The translation is often possible, but it requires a lot of thinking.
Thank you. As AI governance continues to evolve, we see efforts to establish a unified framework that consolidated various high-profile AI principles. This slide in your book presents a structured approach moving from existing AI principles to a comparative analysis, and finally arriving at a unified framework that identifies 5 key ethical principles. Could you please share and explain your perspective on how this unified frame has evolved?
So the evolution is still in progress. We'll still see contexts where this unified framework is being sort of applied and refined. It comes from another branch of ethics, bioethics, where you find the first 4: beneficence, non-maleficence, autonomy, justice. When we were working on this new framework with my research group, we felt that it was important to expand that framework and add number 5, explicability. The need to be clear about how and why the machine had reached those conclusions for 2 reasons. The first one, so that we can explain it to someone else. Imagine a doctor being advised by a large language model about a particular disease or a particular treatment, being able to explicate, to explain to the patient why that is the right approach, the right sort of cure, for example, strategy, treatment. But then, fundamentally, explicability, we felt, had to be added also because we want to fix the machine. If you don't know how the machine has reached some conclusions, if you don't like or you want to improve the outcome, well, you need to know where to go to change it. Maybe do a different kind of training, add more variant and variables, make the number of layers different, or the nodes, or the connectivity, so the statistical analysis, and so on. So where exactly you want to operate to improve the performance. So in terms of explaining to other people and being able to understand, technically speaking, what is happening, well, we felt that number 5 was necessary. The other 4 are already in bioethics, given that bioethics is an ethics of agents. So what you can see here, and this is my last comment, is an ethics that does, or unified frameworks that does fundamentally 2 things. One, it summarizes all the work done in the past, and we have on the slide some of the past investigations that we were able to rely on in order to arrive at this synthesis. And 2, it does address AI as a form of agency. This is why we were able to provide this synthesis, whereas previous attempts were less successful. It's only once you know exactly what are you addressing that you know also how to address it. So the how, the unified framework, came out of a clear sense of the what we were regulating. And once you understand the new AI, the generative AI, the large language models kind of AI, and so on, as a form of agency, then it became quite straightforward to come up with a unified framework that captured the whole story. At that point, we knew we could not publish the research, and we knew we were on the right track.
A great point. Thank you. As AI continues to advance, we also see growing concerns about its misuse across different domains. This slide in your book highlights 4 major areas of concern. Could you share your insight on the misuse of AI? What do you see as the most pressing risks, and how should we address them from an ethical and regulatory standpoint?
Yes, what you see in front of you is part of the analysis that I developed, again, with also the fundamental help of members of my research group back in Oxford, on the variety of misuses in AI, including criminal uses or misuses. To address your question, which is fundamental, let me add something more to what we have here, which is the problems or the misuse of AI are really of 3 kinds. Sometimes we have some AI and we use it wrongly. We just do something completely immoral, unethical, illegal. Well, that misuse is fundamentally what we normally have in front of us. Imagine some organized crime application of AI to steal the identity, the digital identity of people. I mean, that is a typical and classic, by the way. I mean, it's widespreading as we speak. Using AI to steal the digital identity of customers by a criminal organization, there's a typical case of illegal misuse of AI. But then there are 2 other things that we also need to focus on. One is when we use too much AI. That's also a misuse. It's overdoing it. We could do this simply. We could spend less time, money, resources of all kinds, including human resources, but we just do it because we can, because it's fancy, because we think it will attract more credibility, because we want to advertise it. Now, excessive use of AI will happen, is already happening, and forgive me, but I think it will happen more regularly in the public administration. People will just buy fancy tools, and they will do with these fancy AI tools things that could have been done almost with pen and paper. So overusing it, that's a problem. And then, as you may imagine, there is underusing it. That's also a misuse, a problem. This happens extensively in the health sector, where we have a lot of solutions and good tools, good systems that could make a huge difference, but we're not using them because we lack regulation, we lack common standards, and we lack international agreements on what is the right thing to do and what is not. So of the whole problems we have in front of us, we need to remember that sometimes is using AI in the wrong way, but some other times is to using it too much when it's not necessary, when it's expensive, when something could be done with the same resources at not more efficiently, and not using it when we should. Social and environmental contexts are full of those underused problems. That's why we need a more inclusive perspective on the ethics of AI.
Thank you. Next, we have hard and soft ethics. In your book, you elaborate on the interplay between hard ethics and soft ethics, shaping its governance and societal impact. Could you share your insight on the relationship between hard and soft ethics? How can organizations and policymakers effectively balance regulation and voluntary ethical commitment to build a responsible AI ecosystem?
With pleasure, thank you. So when we speak about ethics, normally we mean a whole analysis of what is the right thing to do and the right person to be. Who should I be? What should I do? And why should I do it? These are the normal three standard questions in ethics. If you apply that then to a business, for example, the reply will often come saying, look, I'm doing the right thing because I'm doing compliance with the law. Once I'm in perfect, coherent compliance with the law, that is the end of the ethical analysis. Why should I do anything else? This is where I develop this distinction for the first time between hard and soft ethics. So hard ethics is the one that tells you this is the right thing to do, no matter what the law says. Imagine we are in South Africa some time ago, and there's an apartheid, awful legislation that discriminates between people. Well, I, with hard ethics, will not accept that. I will say, look, I want to treat everybody equally, even if the law says that I shouldn't do it, even if the law allows me not to do it. That's the hard ethics, the ethics that comes before law, independently of legislation, that does the right thing, whether the law agrees or does not. In other times in the history of our culture, we have been hard pressed to do the right thing, even if the law was not suggesting it or was allowing something horrible that we didn't do. But, and this is important, once we have good rules and we have good laws, is there anything else that we can do? Well, that is where soft ethics appears as crucial. So imagine you're a company and you do everything right and there is nothing wrong. So I'm Italian. Suppose we are back in Italy and we're doing everything according to the European law. Let's assume it's a good law, AI Act, GDPR, and everything. Then I'm a company and says, well, Luciano, I'm not job done. What else should I do? Well, soft ethics tells you what you can do over and above compliance. Why it is important? Because that is where competition begins. If you think about it, every company in, say, Europe will comply with the same laws. In other words, will play according to the same rules. Are they winning or are they losing? Well, they're just playing according to the rules. It's not winning yet. Winning means to do something more of and above. For example, if there is a minimum salary to be paid to the workforce, well, soft ethics might suggest to pay a little bit more. The workforce is happier, you retain more people, you retain your best people, you're more successful, more profit, you can give more back to the people. It's a wonderful cycle. You're winning the game of competition. Now, this is very simple, and I'm sure people listening to what we're saying will come up with much more sophisticated example, but the idea should be clear. Hard ethics is the ethics independent of what the law says or doesn't say, what allows and doesn't allow. Soft ethics is post-compliance ethics, and it tells you, please follow the law and now come back because I tell you what else you need to do in order to have a winning strategy. Compare this to playing according to the rules, playing tennis according to the rules, and then having a strategy to win when you play tennis. Playing chess according to the rules, that's compliance. But soft ethics gives you a strategy to be better than your competitor. At that point, we have a win-win. We do compliance, so we are legally okay, but on top of that, we have something that puts us ahead of our competition.
Thank you. So, Floride-san, let's now turn to AI for social good. This slide in your book presents a comparative analysis of 27 AI for social good projects in identifying 7 key factors that contribute to the ethical and responsible deployment of AI for societal benefit. Could you share your perspective on AI for social goods role in shaping ethical AI development? What are the key challenges and opportunities in ensuring AI is consistently leveraged for societal benefit? Please.
So AI for social good is something that we should really invest more in. The example that you have in front of you is a comparison with the Sustainable Development Goals and what could be done to support them. The idea is quite simple. We have enormous problems, both on the societal side, for example, inequality, unfairness, poverty, migration, and I keep going. And then we have enormous problems on the environmental side, climate change being the most fundamental one. Now, between problems with society and problems with the environment, how can we address all these problems? Well, clearly we need a huge amount of human intelligence. We need the right people in the right place with the right skills, education, and so on. So human resources, yes. Then we need financial resources. Of course, nothing happens with a bit of money in the right place. So some intelligence, some money, but we need a lot of technology. Technology is a force for good. It's a strength that we can leverage to solve the problems. AI is the most powerful technology we have developed so far in terms of problem solving. So it seems natural and the most obvious thing to do to suggest that given that we have an enormous amount of problems on the one hand and a very powerful technology that solves problems on the other, with sufficient intelligence and financial resources in the middle, we can bring AI to bear upon the environmental and social problems and try to solve them. This means, for example, and I give two general senses, knowing much more about what is happening because knowledge is power. If we know, for example, about social uncertainty and social problems, we will be able to tackle those problems more efficiently, more rapidly. If we know about the climate change, we will know better where to intervene and how to do it. So knowledge and action, because AI is also a matter of intervening in the world. Very simple example, in management resources of a whole city, well, what we need to have is the whole digital AI support so that in terms of recycling, energy consumption, water consumption, traffic, healthy sort of environment, service provision, and so on, we do a better job. So to summarize, AI for social good means moving AI from being part of the problem to being part of the solution. It is an incredibly powerful technology to solve problems, and it can do two things, generally speaking. Enable us to know more and enable us to do more with less or better with less, which means that being part of the solution, it becomes a project for the future. Last point, therefore, the human project involves AI as part of the tools we will need in order to solve the social and societal and environmental problems we have these days. It's a 21st century project, but we can do it. This is entirely doable within the scope of what humanity could achieve tomorrow.
Thank you. Floridi-san, this slide in your book demonstrates how its core characteristics align with the unified framework for ethical AI principles. What are your thoughts on how AI for social goods project can serve as a model for ethical AI governance? How can these principles be reinforced to ensure long-term accountability and responsible AI implementation? Please.
So we mentioned the word governance, which is crucial. All we have said so far involves a few key words or concepts. One is design. We design all this. We create all this ourselves. AI and digital technologies and services at large are a human creation, focusing on how to design according to a unified framework for ethical principles means creating better technology at the service of humanity and the environment. So design. But design is only half of the solution. The other keyword was the one that you mentioned, which is governance. Governance addresses the question, what is the right thing to do with the technology we have? What kind of solutions we want to implement? What kind of priorities? Where do we place our resources? What kind of trade-offs we are ready to accept and embrace? Now, all this, which is essentially a matter of control and planning, so having a project and then implementing the project, that is good governance. Sometimes I've said in the past that governance is a little bit not the best of politics, transforms what is possible in what is preferable. Now, this transformation of the possible into the preferable relies on a lot of technology. A final point, we can also do all this in terms of simulations. Until recently, all the governance we could exercise was trial and error. Let's see what happens. We implement a solution. If it works great, we can refine it, we can improve it, or we have to do everything from scratch, start again, dismantle and rebuild. Today, everywhere in all advanced countries of this planet, we are already testing governance solutions through digital means. You have a simulation, you have a sandbox or a digital twin of a particular, say, company or city, etc., and you can run experiment as if scenarios. Well, that is crucial. The future of governance at the moment, for the foreseeable future, is simulation through digital means. Once we have that, we'll have, in a final comment, this very nice cycle where the governance of the digital, what do we do with all the digital technology, is shaped by the digital simulation of governance, so that governance can test itself and decide this is a better solution than the other one. We are almost there, and I see that people like me will actually see this new world, a new chapter in our society in the following years.
Thank you. Once again, thank you for all of your valuable insight. Thank you. This discussion has provided a deep and meaningful exploration into the ethical, philosophical, and regulatory challenges of AI. We believe that today's session will be highly beneficial for Japanese AI developers, business leaders, and policymakers. Floridi-san, once again, we sincerely appreciate your time, expertise, and invaluable insight today. We look forward to continuing talk and applying these principles to help build a better AI society for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for a good dialogue session. Yeah, thank you. I'm very honored to have an interview with you. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. And please let me share my congratulations with all the team has prepared this. It's been an impeccable job. Outstanding, really impressive. So I hope they're listening to what I'm saying because, and we are on record. So amazing job, truly impressive. It could not have been done any better. Thank you so much. A pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you.
Have a good day. It's Friday over there, and enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.